hello, and welcome. I could not be more thrilled than to be with my sisters today. My name is Kailei Carr, and I am the co-host of the Beyonding Retreat, and I'm here with my co-host, Pascale Bourne, and our facilitators, our co-facilitators for the Beyonding Retreat, Myra and Dr. Naeema Olatunji in the house. We are here to have a conversation, and we're just bringing you all along with the conversation, and we're going to share and talk about the Beyonding Retreat. So, Pascale, I think we should start with you. Can you introduce yourself? Yes. Can you talk a little bit about who you are and why you are so excited about this retreat?
Okay, yes. So my name again is Pascale Bourne, and I am a speech language pathologist by training. I am an executive communication coach and a transformation facilitator. And like Kailei said, I'm going to be co-hosting this retreat. I am the CEO and owner of Bourne Transformation Group. And I'm really, really excited about this retreat. One, because I get to do this with my soul sister, my soror, my everything. And I'm also excited because we are going to be bringing an elevated experience to women who are waiting for something like this. I know that there are people out there, Kailei and ladies, that want what we are about to bring to them. I'm excited.
They need it. They need it.
Yes.
Agreed. So we recently announced our co-facilitators of the Beyonding Retreat. We recently did that, and I know when Pascale and I were both starting to plan this retreat, we were thinking about the location, we were thinking about the timing being in December after the election season in the United States, where whoever wins, we're going to need some rejuvenation and some rest and all of the things. We were also thinking about preparing for 2025, right? And also the theme of going beyond limits. And all of that together, and the experience that we saw for all of the women who were joining us, there were two people that came to mind to share this experience with, to lead these ladies through. And there are these two ladies right here. So I think we will start with Myra. Myra, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you're excited about with the Beyonding Retreat?
I am super excited. First of all, I feel honored, so thank you for allowing me to be here. I am a wellness coach, and I really put well-being at the forefront of leadership. And so I work with women, executive women in leadership, and I make sure that they're taking care of their own well-being, so their emotional, their spiritual, their emotional, mental wellness, and that they're not hitting overwhelm and burnout as they ascend in their careers. And I think it's important, and why I'm excited about this is because I don't think we take time enough to really focus on ourselves. Sometimes we think it's selfish, we hear all these stories about why we don't do it. Mm-hmm. And this is an opportunity for women to pause, to actually hit the pause button and do some self-reflection, some refueling, even have some fun. Pascale was reminding me earlier that this is also about having fun. And so I'm excited about just all those things, the healing, the refueling, the sisterhood, and the fun that this retreat is going to offer us.
Yeah, I love it. Naeema, what about you? Introduce yourself and share what you are excited about.
I am Naeema Olatunji. I am a doctor of chiropractic by trade, and the thing that makes me so excited about being honored enough to be asked to facilitate and participate, not only am I such a huge fan of the podcast, of the community, but the sisterhood and being a part of something like that to me is such an honor, and I treasure that. The thing that makes me reflect on why I'm excited about it is the title, Going Beyond Limits. And one of the things that I think I have struggled with in the past is removing the barriers. And so in my life, in the last 8 months, completely transformed and took an entirely different approach, and one that I would have never imagined that I would have done. And because that I did that, I think that what opened up for me is all of the new possibilities. So what makes me think about this upcoming retreat is being in an entirely different country, going someplace that you are not, the uncertainty about what's laid in front of you, because it's not all known. It leaves it open to mystery and to magic and what's possible. And that's the question I have been asking myself over these past almost a year now. What's possible? And I think that for women to come together, we make magic just in our communications. But when we ask each other truly from the heart, what's possible? What's possible? What's the thing that you had told yourself is impossible? And then you get to go beyond that.
Go beyond it.
Oh, so good, so good.
So ready.
Love that.
I love that question of what's possible. What's possible? You know, when you think about going beyond limits, there's so many things that get in the way when we know what we're supposed to be doing. We know, but we don't do it.
Yeah.
So what are those things that you think get in the way of people even exploring what's possible?
For me, living in my life was security. I went to school midlife, 30s, not midlife, but I had 3 kids, a husband, 2 dogs, like we were set. And then I was like, you have an idea? How about if I turn all of this upside down, if we move across the country and I do a doctoral program for 4 years, and I'm sure it's going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine. Our whole life is going to still remain the same. And so for me, what I think about is like when you decide that you're going to go beyond. I had never lived in Georgia, only visited, actually, when I said we were going to move here, I had never even been. But there was an inner voice that was guiding me. And when you trust it enough to say, yes, I will step into this. And the thing that makes me, I think, aware of what it is that I'm up to these days on a deeper level is that I have gained trust in myself because of why I decided to go on this journey and transform my life and say yes to an otherwise terrifying experience. And I think that once you decide that you can trust yourself, you know that you have the skill set, that you might need to employ others and gain a community, but what you gain from what you've decided, going beyond it, for me at least, has been probably the single scariest and the most rewarding decision. So for me, I think that this is the perfect opportunity to explore on a much deeper level what drives that and what creates that motivation in us all, because we all have it. Yeah. And sometimes we just have to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. I don't know about, I've known you for a while, and I know the journey that you're on right now, which we will get to, right? Mm-hmm. But I hadn't connected the dots of this adventure that you're currently on. Yeah. That ain't your first adventure, honey. This is a part of your journey. Yeah. So I can't wait to learn from you at the retreat, and beautiful.
Yeah.
So who else would like to share? What does Beyond Limits?
I will say that going beyond limits for me is literally a mind, body, spirit experience. So I think about how I'll use myself. Sometimes we limit in our thinking what is possible for us, right? And so for this retreat, I want to move any of those barriers out of my mind that might say, is that okay? Is that safe? Is it whatever? Any of those things that, are going on in my mind. And then from a body perspective, we had a chance to go and actually visit the retreat center. And I wasn't expecting the physical part of being in the jungle, essentially. And so physically going beyond the limits of, pushing myself to go for a hike down to a waterfall, and really
In the dark.
I did this hike at 5 a.m. before the sun came up, and that was just really letting my body even experience being with some sensory deprivation, right? Because I couldn't see everything around me, so that was pushing myself beyond my limits. And then from a spirit standpoint, my goodness, I have to tell you, I was a little closed when I first got there in terms of the other hosts. We were there with other hosts that are going to be doing retreats at the same facility when we went for our site visit. And my spirit was initially like, I don't know about these people. And then I had to check myself and say, okay, you are limiting and narrowed in your thinking as it regards to these other hosts. And when I released that and let myself really be open, I became the sponge that had amazing experiences and connections with other women. So not only other women, there were men there too. It was just really, really great. So just thinking about how that happened for me on a site visit, I can't even imagine if I keep that same mentality. Be open. What does your mind need to be open to? What does my body need to be open to? Eating different foods that I never had eaten before. That was another way that I went beyond limits. So in general, I know that going back and experiencing this with all of these amazing women is going to continue to push me past whatever limits that I may have right now. Yeah, I'm already transformed. So it's going to keep on going. It's going to keep on going. Yeah.
For me, I think it's doing things that I may have not had examples of, like growing up. And I was telling my mom about this retreat, and it made me realize that my mom has never been on a retreat. And so I think about beyond limits for me is being comfortable doing things that I haven't seen as an example. And so it's uncertain, I may not know what the end result is. I'm confident in knowing it's gonna blow my mind, but I don't necessarily have those examples. You know how they say you can't be what you can't see. But I was reading a book, Tara Moore's Playing Big, and she says you can't be what you can't see if you haven't envisioned it. And I'm paraphrasing, but it's this idea that I can be it if I can imagine it. So that seeing for me is imagining things that I may have not had examples for. And, going on retreats, I realize is such a great privilege. Like I remember growing up, my mom coming home, being exhausted from work and doing it because she had to. It was really, she didn't have a choice, mom and dad working hard, doing all these things, but never really having a reprieve, never really having a place where they could just exhale, right? And so I realized because I have access to that it is a privilege and I want to be able to do those things. And then I want to be an example for those that may not believe it's possible to be able to go on a retreat, to co-facilitate, co-lead a retreat. But to do things for me beyond limits is doing things where I've never had an example of and being an example for someone else.
Listening to you, Myra, I'm realizing how in my upbringing, I had a mother who went beyond limits in her life. I mean, she was the first in her family to go to college. She went to the college her mom wanted to go to but couldn't. She was in the profession that her mom wanted but couldn't, and all of those things, got a doctorate, got a master's degree, all those things that she had never seen. And I saw that, so I had that example, but I also saw the other side of that. I saw the burnout. I saw the overwhelm. I saw the doing everything for other people. So as I'm listening to you and all of you, I'm realizing, oh, going beyond limits for me is being open to rest, being open to a different way of being that's not about doing all the time and running yourself down to the ground, but being open. And I feel like we can, when we are obedient, when we can surrender ourselves to what's possible, then the landscape becomes so much more expansive.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that's going to look like for me, but I'm here for it.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
I love
yes.
that. And rest isn't always just physical rest. Rest is mental,
Right.
it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's taking time to just turn off all of the things that keep us constantly connected. You know, there's this concept of, you know, we're connected, right? So you think about your phone and your tablets and all of these devices, but I don't think that's actually true connection.
No.
I think it's disconnection.
It's false. It is. It is.
This
it is.
concept of we're constantly connected, I actually think is the disconnection. I think the connection is when we rest.
Yes.
When we go on these retreats.
Yes.
Yes.
When we're in sisterhood, when we're in
Yes.
conversation. To me, that is actually connection. That's true connection. And
Because
so
what
I
you're
think that-
speaking
yeah.
about, I'm so sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I think that's connection. Yeah.
What you're speaking about, was sort of what spoke to me, is that busyness that we get fatigued from, and we are not then replenishing our own cup, because the true connection, before we can do it with anybody else, starts here. And our busyness keeps us distracted just long enough to where we get too tired to then put ourselves on our own to-do list and make ourselves a priority that says yes to going to and having this experience. But how else in your life are you going to carve out the life that you choose, and having all the people in your life give to you what it is that you desire from them if you are not willing to give it to yourself? Right? That was the thing that I think for me, when everybody else was like, you doing what? You closing your business? You selling all your stuff? Like, why would you do that, right? And this idea, this truth that I knew, because I was quiet enough, long enough, that I invited what was possible, and all the madness, all the people talking, all those, my inner critic, all the imposter, like, you can't do that, working class people don't do all that, you don't have an example, ain't nobody done that before. All of that had to take a back seat to what was most important for Naeema. What does Naeema need, and what does that look like? And this idea, like, oh, you going on vacation for 12 months. I just may. I might not do a doggone, but right, like, it's okay to give yourself permission to rest, to rejuvenate, and to connect on a level that you don't know what could come of it.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing, ladies, is that we need to disconnect so we can connect.
Absolutely.
We need to disconnect from
Absolutely.
all the busyness,
Yes.
all the voices in our heads, all the things.
The noise.
The noise. It's all noise.
Absolutely.
It's all noise.
Yes, as soon as you said that, I got a vision of us being at Imaloa in do they call it the heart?
Yeah.
The heart, which is where we had all the meals. It was where we connected with the other retreat hosts. And you look out, I mean, it's open. And I mean, we saw toucans. We saw just wildlife and jungle, and there was a sense of peace.
Yeah.
And they actually turned on the Wi-Fi for us because they said, okay, we want y'all to be able to connect with each other.
Right.
But they said usually with your retreats, we don't have
Right.
Wi-Fi on in here because we want the heart to be the place where people connect.
Yeah.
Connect.
Without distraction.
And you know what? They were very intentional about that as well. Where you eat is this one long dining table where you are connecting with people. Community. Instead of like separate little tables, communing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
While nurturing your body with delicious, healthy food.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
On that note, I feel like we need to talk about the food. And I know y'all haven't experienced the food yet.
No, you gave us a little heads up.
Tell us more.
Well, I can just tell you this. Not what I expected.
Okay.
Okay. We saw pictures. We knew that it was a plant-based vegan menu. And I'll tell you, it just looks so beautiful online. I'm like, it probably doesn't taste good. It's probably not going to fill me. And I was a little nervous, so much so that when we went on the site visit, I brought my son with me. And he doesn't barely eat salads. So you can imagine, I subconsciously and consciously probably just didn't tell him that it was plant-based until the night before, literally. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, no.
We're all eating meat the
meat.
night
I was like, eat that steak. Eat it up. Get your last little bit of protein in.
Enjoy, sweetie.
Enjoy it all. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Wow.
Pleasantly surprised. I mean, we were stuffed after every meal. Absolutely stuffed.
4-course dinner.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, beautiful. I mean, beautiful, nourishing, and delicious.
Yes.
You probably felt better too.
Oh, we
Yes.
did.
The energy,
did.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, I did
higher.
gain a few pounds.
You gained-
actually. I did. I did.
See, you should
I
have
had
gone on that
no.
hike. I should have.
That's why.
Yes.
That's why.
Oh, no.
Oh, it was all worth it.
It was
It
worth
was
it. It was
worth
worth it.
every morsel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
fresh fruit, juices at every single meal. They changed it up. I mean, nothing processed. It was so good. And then Costa Rican coffee,
Nice.
no alcohol. It was a dry campus, but which was fun. I mean, I like a good craft cocktail, but when you're going there to be nurtured and nourished and healed,
Yeah.
You have to give your body what it needs, and they provide everything that your body needs.
everything. Yeah.
And when you know that your body is being given what it needs, it frees your mind up. So just, and also from a physiological standpoint, and what we know is the healthier our body is, the more energy that we then can use for the things that our passions, our goals, like the things that we're working on and what we're up to. Because fatigue is no longer the excuse, right?
Talk about it.
Wow.
Talk about
Fatigue
it.
is no longer the excuse.
Where you go, there you are. It's like, okay, you have what you need. So what's the excuse? I think so many of us use the excuse or the default.
Yes.
We're like, how are you doing? Oh, I'm so busy.
Yeah.
Right.
Or, oh, there's so much going on. Like that becomes the default.
Almost a badge of honor.
It is.
You're
I
right.
think when, and what you may have experienced too, Naeema, when you're telling people you're going on this 12-month journey, you closed your business down, you sold your things, you're no longer fitting into this conditioning we have of you have to have something going on. Like, I remember when I decided to start my business and I was at the very beginning of it, and so I'm still figuring things out and things like that. And so when people would ask what I had going on, I found myself trying to fill the space with answers to seem like I had a lot going on when really I didn't. I was like figuring it out. And so my going on was like trying to set up a Calendly and a Zoom account.
Yes,
Like,
yes, that's what I did today.
that was my to-do for the
yes.
day. And it was because I was so conditioned to have an answer because my busyness was a self-worth. It was equal, like my work was equal to my worth in my mind. And if I wasn't working hard and busy, I didn't have any worth or value. And it's quite the opposite. It's not tied to your busyness. Your productivity doesn't give you your worth or your value. It comes from inside. It's an inside job. So I had to change my mindset about that.
And when you flip the script, then the next question for me on this journey was, well, then what's your purpose? And because if your busyness, because I prided myself on taking on projects, right? I took on the project of becoming a wife, and then a project of becoming a mom, and then a project of, homeschooling, and I'm collecting these labels, and I'm identifying with these labels. And then I find there's this inner disconnect where I just can't seem to find the joy. And what ultimately it was something trying to be birthed through me. And I wanted to go back to school, but this idea, I have 3 kids, and I'm a wife, and I'm a mom, and I'm homeschooling, and right, like that, those don't line up. And when I surrendered to, I want to go back to school, and I want to give myself the thing that was trying to be birthed through me, and surrendered to that, what I found is that I then associated the doingness. So then I did the project of school, and then I did the project of opening a business, and then I did the project of, writing a book, and I was very, very busy, and I thought like, oh, that's so great. Look at all these things, and I've got all these labels and titles. And then I get to the very first country after I have sold all the things, and I sat in Cuba, and it takes me 8 hours to figure out that I have no idea what I'm doing. And if I'm not busy, because there was nothing to do. I was in an Airbnb, there's all that in, the food's done, and who needs me? And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what this journey is going to look like. It is, who is Naeema when she's not doing all the things and identified to the labels that I have adapted and adopted and embraced. And that's the journey. And so if you, so not everybody's going to take the journey, the steps that I did. That's not everybody's game plan. But what you can do, you can go on a retreat.
That's right.
Take some time off. And you can go international. And you can whip out that passport. And you can hang around some women who are going to put up a nice reflection of you and say, is this what it is that you truly want? And if it isn't, let's build a community around what it is that you do want.
Yes. So you gave us so much there. And so to catch everybody up who's watching who may not know your story, you've given us some highlights. So you were a doctor of chiropractic. Yep. After you went across the country, moved your family, started this new career. Fast forward several years, you decide, you know what, I'm going to close that practice. I'm going to take the next 12 months or so and travel the world. And then you found yourself in Cuba saying, what in the heck am I doing?
Yep.
And since Cuba, which was it December?
I left October 13th.
October, wow.
Yeah.
October, and you've been to how many countries since then?
11.
Oh my God.
Maybe 13. I should have counted. I didn't know. So the original, the original plan, because you got to have a plan, you got to have a strategy, and you got to calm all the people down that are like, you doing what? You doing what? Wait, right? Come again? And so I had a plan, and I had mapped it out. I had the hours of research. It was all good. I had 3 countries. I was going to Cuba, Cuba, Colombia, Costa Rica. Had it all mapped out. I got a spreadsheet. I got a spreadsheet. And I was going to do 3 months in each country. And then the last 3 months, I was going to leave it open. I was going to end in Costa Rica. So I was like, well, maybe I'll stay. Maybe I'll use that as a jump up. But I got a plan, and it's going to be fine. And I'm going to become bilingual, because immersion, I have always wanted to be bilingual in Spanish, and I just never made it a priority. So here I am. I'm in Cuba. And my oldest was meeting us at the Airbnb, and they were going to hang out with me for the first 7 days. What's mom really doing? So let's go and make sure, right? So they were going to hang out for the first 7 days. So the 21-year-old who is super skeptical about what it is that I'm doing, actually he's 20 then, and he's like, what are we doing? And so we're in this restaurant, and we're supposed to be communicating. So this is the 20-year-old. Go ahead. Do it. What you saying? And I was like, you are such a jerk. Help me. By the time that 3 hours ends, I realized that, and we have to make a new plan. So I go home to the Airbnb and I have to release the story that I told everybody, the strategy, the spreadsheet, all of the things. And in that moment that I let it go and I gave myself permission, I booked a ticket to Mexico. I stayed in Cuba for exactly 8 days. When everybody else left, I left too. And I went to Mexico where I know that Spanish. I recognize that Spanish.
Duolingo knows that Spanish.
Duolingo was like, girl, you got this. And from there, it just allowed me the space to say, whatever your heart says, wherever your intuition is guiding you, that's where you're going. When you feel it, then that's where you go. That's where the 11 or 13 countries came from.
Wow.
What I heard, Naeema, was the moment you surrendered is when everything opened up. It's something about our surrender, our letting go of our plans, because I spiritually believe that God has a bigger plan for us than we have for ourselves. And so you let go, and then it was like your world opened up. All of these opportunities came to you. And it sounds like the 11 or 13 countries is probably a lot more exciting than the 3 you had rigidly planned on a spreadsheet. I'm sure it opened up your world.
Yes, it did. And the final note on when you surrender is it's not always pretty. This wasn't me. I wasn't sitting in Cuba. My God, I am good. Thank you for using me. I don't understand. This is wrong, and they said it, and this is wrong. It was the ugly, mortifying, what do I do now? I have spent all of this time. I told these people, I told my children. It was that.
I created spreadsheets.
I learned how to do equations and functions on Excel so that I could create this vision. And so what I don't want to give people the impression is that it was effortless and I just surrendered, and it was like I was laying in this pond in a waterfall, and then this unicorn walked by and whispered, "You're on the right path, girl." It was ugly with the 20-year-old looking over me like, Now, his saltiness evolved into, I was really scared for you, and I was frustrated for myself, and now we have this great communication, and he talks about how proud he is, but initially he was a big skeptic, and I needed him. He served that role because I had to get down to, when it comes down to it, Naeema, are you really committed to the thing you said you were committed to? Because I was in Cuba going, okay, so if I go back to Atlanta, can I rent a space there? Wait a minute, well, I sold my car, dang. All right, so well, maybe I could go, does CarMax, like, it looked like, how can I go back? I wanna go back, I wanna go back. And had the boy not just kept needling me, then I would have surrendered. I was afraid. And I just decided, like, let me learn from this child of mine. Let him be my teacher and let me recommit. And damn it, we're going to Mexico.
Wow. Isn't it interesting? Yes. Isn't it interesting how our children give us opportunities for, like, sometimes they're parenting us.
Yes. Yes.
It's not for us to teach them.
Yes.
No, it's for them to teach us.
Yes.
I am curious. I would love for you to talk about what people can expect to experience with you when we're in Costa Rica. Now, granted, we still have some time.
Yes.
Not everything, you know, we don't want to, even if we had all the things,
Right.
we wouldn't want to reveal all the things.
Big reveal.
No. But what can they expect from the experience with you in your session?
My goal is to help shine a light inward. But unless you're asking yourself the questions that are going to elicit the answers, because you ask a dumb question, you're going to get a dumb answer. You ask a more evolved question, you're going to get a more evolved answer. Until you sit with yourself long enough through that uncomfortable period, through the, I want to run away, I don't want to do this, until you surrender to, I must sit with myself and ask myself the questions, I don't think that we come to that sacred level of inner knowingness. And so for me, my goal is sitting with women who are interested in finding out more about what is trying to be birthed through them. And in order to do that, I think that we need to spend some time asking ourselves some really, really good questions. And so we're going to go through some questioning, but also the why, right? Like, why are we asking the questions? And what is it on the other side of what it is that you're resisting? What is on the other side of the thing that you believe that you have defined is your limit? What's on the other side of that? And if you could, just begin this idea of what's possible, because I mean, we're not all going to jump to Z. We're not all going to jump to the middle of the alphabet. Like, some of us need to take very little baby steps and know that we are safe and there's a safety net while we're going through this process underneath us. And if we hold each other in that space, I believe that then we can start unraveling some of the talk that is that we've sort of all adopted as normal, right? And so in that questioning, in that looking and seeking and excavating through some of those doubts, what I hope is that it begins to reveal some of the other things that I have in store and planned. So we're going to leave that for the suspense. But I'm excited.
So good. I'm excited too. Yeah. And Myra, I know that you have done a lot of learning and seeking and excavating for yourself, for the women, all of the clients that you work with. So what can people experience or expect to experience with you?
Yeah, I love the last part of your answer, Naeema, because I was like, it's all gonna be a mystery. Kailei.
That's it.
It is going to be. No, honestly, I am committed to being fully present. Mm-hmm. I am committed to being fully present. But in full transparency, I know that I'll know. Mm-hmm. I feel like there are still things that are being developed and discovered. You're absolutely right. I've learned so much. In the last 2 years, I would say, I feel like I've transformed in ways that I'll be 40 this year, in ways that I haven't even imagined. Mm-hmm. And I'll absolutely bring a lot of that to the space. But my commitment is to be fully present, to be fully open. I don't mind sharing my story, my journey, what I've learned. I went through a divorce a couple of years ago. I left my job all in the same month. Started my coaching practice. I've just done a lot that felt like I was uprooting my life, that it was so uncertain. I didn't know what was on the other side, right? And I have the learnings from that. I have the courage, the all of that comes with that. And so I'm committed to bringing that to this space. But it's still a mystery.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm hearing from both of you, and I think we all operate from this place, which is a place of presence, it's a place of intuition and connection with the divine to lead us to what is needed in the moment. And that, I believe, is what sets the Beyonding Retreat apart from other experiences. And you all have experienced all of the oh my gosh, like all of us have
Yep.
experienced all of the retreats.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't
Oh,
realize
I didn't realize
that.
that either.
So let's go there. How is the Beyonding retreat experience different? How is it different?
Well, I have to be honest. The Beyonding retreat was the first blend of a professional and personal development retreat that I'd ever been to. Prior to that first retreat in 2019, I'd only done things professionally, working on maintaining my certification as a speech language pathologist. We're required to do continuing education. And so truly going to that retreat was going beyond my limits because I wasn't following the podcast and all that stuff because I just really wasn't on social media like that. But I kept being called to this retreat. I kept being called to what you were doing. And so stepping out on faith, listening to the divine download that I was getting allowed me to go to that retreat. But once I was there, I was just open. I was just like, whatever is meant for me to be here. I trusted that I was supposed to be there for a reason. And I think that the women that are going to come to this retreat in Costa Rica, if they come with that same posture of openness, that what they're meant to experience will come. I truly believe in that. In terms of what sets things apart of what I've experienced in general is that you, Kailei, first of all, are an amazing curator of bringing together the women that you have received a download about that says, these are the people that are supposed to be here for a reason. So that's the first thing. Everything is very intentional.
Yeah.
And I feel that people come with this energy that is magnetic and it enlightens you. It just makes you be filled with joy and you want more and more. And I know that that's where, you know, all the other things that have come from the 2019 retreat came from that process. People wanted to be in community. So that's what I think is different. You're not just coming in and learning some things. You're not just coming and relaxing at the beach, right? It's not that. We will have fun. We're going to do all of that stuff, but you're going to leave transformed if you allow yourself to do that.
Be open to it.
What about you, ladies?
I would also just add all of what you said, and I didn't realize that we had been to all the retreats. They keep getting better,
Yes.
by the way. They keep getting better.
That part.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, it's coming. That's how I know it's going to be divine. It's going to be divine. It already is. The caliber of women that you surround yourself with, and let me just say a little something about Kailei.
Yes.
Kailei doesn't just surround herself with anyone. She doesn't play those games, and it's such a quiet decision. She doesn't play those games. It's such a quiet decision too. It's not like it's not announced. But she'll let you know if someone is
Been carved out of the circle.
and it's not to an elitist, exclusive type energy either.
No.
And I don't want anyone to feel that way. But it is I have a high standard of excellence and energy and all of the things that you represent well. You're just not going to associate yourself with those things that may not be representative of who you are.
I would agree.
Yeah. But you do it so well, you do it so gracefully, and it shows in the events you put together. It comes to life fully at these retreats where the caliber of women, going back to that are presenting, that are holding space, that are facilitating, are amazing. And I'll be very honest, when you invited me to be a facilitator, I felt that immediate imposter syndrome that we talk about. Why me?
Ooh.
Why me?
Yeah.
And I had to sit with, it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
It ain't about
It's
me.
not even about you. I love you. And you are amazing, which is why we're here.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not about me.
It's not about any of us.
No.
It's not about us.
No.
It's not about us. And once I sat with that, once I surrendered to that idea, it was like, okay, I get to be a channel. I get to be open to receive what God wants to pour through me. And I am honored. I opened up with, I feel honored, and it's so true. I feel honored to be able to hold space with these women because I've seen the events and the retreats and experienced the Marlas and the Radayas, and I know what women will experience when they come to this retreat. And so I feel so honored to be able to facilitate.
Honored that you said yes.
Yes. Yes. And that you didn't. So that's another example of going beyond your limits, right?
Yeah.
Because you could have been intimidated by that
Absolutely.
roster of women that you've seen facilitated the other retreats and been like, that imposter syndrome could have kept you from really stepping into playing big and being all of you. And I just have to say that you are so amazing. It just shocks me to think that you would think that, like just even for a second. However, it's representative of what a lot of women experience and can't move past.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that you said yes.
Yeah.
The thing that I think that is so beautiful about your willingness to speak your truth about your reaction when being asked, I think that we all become accustomed to, programmed to put a mask on and then a face on top of that mask and then another mask and present yourself well, right? Like we are attractive women, but we are all sitting here very proper, very still in our positions because we have been taught and trained and programmed to believe that this is how women show up, this is how they sit, this is how they present themselves. And while all of that is probably, I mean, they're just ideas, right? We could live on another planet and there be a completely different belief system and an idea. But what I think we do more often than any of us would like to admit is that we tell falsehoods and lies about what we're truly feeling about something by simply just hiding, right? But in a space where you know that you can just be honest and say, oh my gosh, but how many of us have that community, have that space, have that opportunity to just share and be open about what the fears that we are holding? Because until you shine a light, shame and fear live in the dark. But when you shine the light on them, then they have no place to run, and you can look and you can examine and you can decide what's true and what you've adopted or picked up along the way and what you can just let go of. Because surrender and rest, I think, isn't just about you. It is about letting go of all of the things that you've accumulated and you didn't even realize that you were carrying around, right?
Yes.
And if you could just release those, my goodness, doesn't the machine work that much better without being burdened by the things that cause stagnation?
Yes, yes.
I think that's what women can look forward to, is that safe space to be themselves, to be vulnerable, to be transparent. We are going to be. And one thing that I want to bring to the, as you're talking about being honest, is that we're not going around like we're sovereign and walking on clouds all the time. Like we are on this journey.
Yes.
It is a day-to-day, moment-to-moment choice. So if we all come into that space not saying, I'm here to fix me, I'm coming to this retreat so you can fix, we're not doing any of that. We're just here on the journey with everybody and helping people maybe to recognize what might have been dimming their light, because we all have that light. So what's the stuff that's been dimming that light? Let's release all of that and just shine as brightly as we can. And we can do that in communion.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I love too about the experience that we create, because even us as facilitators, it's not like, okay, listen to us, we know all of the things, listen to us. It's no, we are all on the journey together.
Yes.
We're learning together. When I think about even going back to our first retreat in 2019 and the transformations, not only from the women who attended, but the women on our team, on our planning team. I mean, it gives me goosebumps right now. I think about, oh gosh, Shyla Bernie, who she and her daughter were a part of the planning team, and they had a tragic accident experience on the way to a retreat planning meeting. And that turned into Zane Access, which is now an incredible, incredible, incredible organization that has poured into Black and Brown founders. And that is just one example. And I felt like everybody who said yes to that experience, everybody who said yes to the experience in Arizona in 2022, everybody experienced their own personal transformation. So I am here for whatever transformation I want to have, because I know, I know all of us will experience something by being present and open with each other.
Speaking of transformation, the name of the retreat changed, right? So it was originally Beyond the Business Suit, and then Kailei, you changed it to Beyonding. Can you talk about what that transformation was about?
Yes. So in 2019, it was kind of an outpost from the podcast, from the Beyond the Business Suit podcast. And so we had the first retreat. It was personal and professional. We brought those together and we had such a transformative experience. 2020, it was ready for us to have our second one. April 2020, we know what happened in March 2020 in the US and around the world. And so that turned into a new experience, which was at that point in time called the Beyond Signature Series. And we got together, a lot of the women who were joining us in Arizona and more. We came together every other week for 3 months to hear from those who we thought were going, or who were supposed to be speaking to us in Arizona. And we created a new experience in a community. And when we were ready for those 3 months to come to a close, people said, hold on, we need to be in community with each other. Don't stop this community. And so that evolved into what is now the Beyonding community. And we did go back to Arizona. It wasn't in 2020, it was in 2022. And it felt so fitting to not associate it with the podcast, but to associate it with the Beyonding community, and this idea that honestly, the community, this word that the community embraced and defined about beyonding, it is an action. It's about going beyond your limits. It's about expressing yourself, being in community with others, but also being true to who you are at your core and being committed to being better each and every day. So that's at the foundation of what is now the Beyonding Retreat.
I remember when the word was emerging, and I remember feeling everybody else's energy and synergy around the word. Like it just seemed to embody these emotions that all of us were feeling and wanted to step into. And it became, it seemed like it took on a life of its own. And what I wanted to add about the retreats is where I think that it starts from the center, the core, is you, Kailei, and your commitment and your dedication to serve. I don't think that anything better encapsulates what the retreats do is they serve whatever it is your need. Like women come from all over the globe, and they have different desires and different expectations, but what is continually met, all of their expectations come from a place of we want to serve, and that's at the core of your heart. And that's what I think that the community feels, that we feel, that you emanate, and it allows us to step into our own beyonding, because you said yes. You were the original yes.
Thank you. No, I feel like this is me being obedient, right? Just like you are on your journey, and we have had to be obedient. And that's why I don't know, like I never know what the next one is going to be like. Like I knew I had the vision back in November that Pascale was going to take on a bigger leadership role. Did not know at the time that we would be co-hosting.
Nope, not at all. And even that wasn't even an ask, but you were just like, wait. I basically signed up to say, I'll help volunteer to do whatever, logistics, whatever you need help with. And Kailei's like, no, I'm hearing something else coming through.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'm ready, I'm getting ready.
That's so.
And so I was just like, okay, what's God telling me?
Yes.
What is it? What is it? It's like, no, there's a bigger role for
bigger.
you. So again, I had that second of, really? Me? What are we talking about? Can I do that? Okay, God, if you're saying it to her, then I'm gonna listen.
Yeah.
But I don't know what she's talking about. Okay. And just saying yes is another example of going beyond limits.
It is.
And then from that to get to a point where it became, no, we're gonna co-host this thing together. That's another example, just going beyond limits, taking it outside of this country.
Yeah.
Going beyond limits. I feel like we could just keep going. And then
Yes.
this happened, going
Yes.
beyond limits. Get the
Yes.
church going, going beyond limits. You're going beyond limits.
Exactly.
It's really, we are all walking the walk. We are,
Yeah.
we are.
I also think about Pascale. I know you've shared with me that you wanted to lead retreats. Did you not say that?
I did.
And then it happens. Yeah, and I don't know
Yes.
if Kailei knew that or not, but I know Kailei hears divinely.
Exactly.
She's intuitive and she's a divine channel, but you had even said that you wanted to lead retreats.
Yes.
And I feel like this is a way there. It is all
Absolutely.
in alignment.
It was not the plan.
Yeah.
Right? So the plan was I was going to be leading retreats for married couples. And that might still happen. I feel that it will still happen.
Absolutely.
But this is preparation.
Preparation.
And so I have to say, Kailei, that every experience that you have brought to my life has been stepping stones to the next
There
big
it is.
step. Next big step. And so it's the yes. It's just yes to the next big step that's allowed me to be where I am right now. And my family. I know I've talked about my family a lot, but we have all benefited from these steps. I feel like I've been able to show my daughter, be a role model to my daughter on how to play big. And she's doing great things. She's 21, y'all, and doing such amazing things.
Wow.
And then my son is now in a certification program to become a life coach because of the things that I was exposed to, literally.
That's so good.
Yeah.
When I think of this image of saying yes to the next step, I immediately think of like motion lights, right? That only turn on when you move.
Yeah. Oh.
Right?
Bring
we
it.
have to initiate the
Yes.
first step, and then the light comes
Yes.
on, and then you see
Yes.
the next step, and
Okay.
the next step.
Yeah.
But you had to make the first step for the light to come on. The motion, yeah. It's
Y'all,
up to
this
us.
is what's going to happen at the retreat. Just letting you know. Like, it's just going to flow. And what is needed in the space is what will be brought forward.
So as we close, let's think about if somebody is wondering, is this for me? What would you say to that?
The first thing that comes up is you'll know, right? You'll know. And sometimes I think we may resist if we don't see the next step, right? If I stick with that same scenario, but I would say trust your knowing. And if it's something that you've been called or you've heard before in your spirit, or you're curious even, just curiosity sometimes is enough. I would say explore. And for the ones that know, when you know, just do it. Just do it. Don't resist.
Yeah.
It's going to change your life. There's no question about it. But explore that curiosity. If it's something you feel a little tug. Yeah.
I've been recently exploring a new way of thinking about the word courage. And courage to me is the willingness to try.
Yeah.
And so to your point, if you don't know the next step, that's okay. Just be willing to take the next step.
Yeah.
And so I see coming to the retreat as being a part of that. That if you are willing to be a part of the transformation that's possible for you, then say yes.
Yeah.
Say yes.
Yeah.
What comes to mind is what the author Dan Sullivan, I think, talks about in 2X is Better Than 10X, is this idea around when we are in a position where we believe that we know all the things, right? And we have this idea about everything. When you decide that you're going to go beyond the thing that you swore that you knew, because the thing that gets us in trouble is the thing that you don't know that you don't know. But if you take a step back and are willing to allow the things that you don't know to come forth, to bubble up to the surface, to stop resisting, because that's what we do, and you just simply allow and just say yes, and know that whatever is for you is always going to be for you. It's never not going to be for you. And it's not an either or. We've all been conditioned to believe that on some level it's either this or it's that. I say both.
Yes, both
You can go to the retreat and still do all the things that you said that you were going to do. You can still make sure that you get to the family reunion this summer and still go to the retreat, right? You can still be this amazing wife, mother, daughter, whatever, and go to the retreat. This is not an either or situation. You get to choose everything because you get to decide.
Yes, yes, you get to choose, you get to decide. And we know that those who are called join. If you're not called, that's fine too. That's fine too. So everybody who is there will be meant to be there.
Yeah.
And that would be amazing. Well, my co-host, what parting words do you have for anybody who's watching?
I just want everyone to know that we are sincerely coming to this space with an invitation. I feel like it's a gift that we have been given, right? To be in each other's company, to have experienced the retreats thus far and what's coming. And so the invitation is for you all. It's an invitation, but you're also going to feel led and called to be there. So we just hope that you will take us up on the invite.
Yeah. So we will be going to Costa Rica for the Beyonding Retreat from December 7th through 12th, 2024. And this year, we talked a lot about the personal and professional. We're actually only going personal this year. This year's retreat is going deep. We call it to the soulular level. We want you to go beyond limits. We will be doing it with a backdrop of the jungle, only about 10 minutes away from the beach. And we will have time together to commune, to learn, to grow, to transform, and to have fun.
Yes.
And to have space. We want this, we don't want this to be heavily agenda'd. We want people to have space to get whatever they need out of the experience. So again, if that's for you, then we hope you join us in December in Costa Rica. And you can go to beyondingretreat.com to find out more information. So ladies, my sisters, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I can't wait for us to be back together in December.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. And to you, be well.